What's going on, guys? John Kelly here. I'm at the Clifty Wilderness in the Daniel Boone National Forest. I'm getting ready to hike up to Copperas Falls. It's a place I've always wanted to come check out, just never had the chance to do it. Doing a little day hiking today, but I've decided what I want to do today is also tell you about some mistakes that I've made that have actually made me a better backpacker. Let's get into it. One of the areas I struggled with right from the beginning was how to pack my pack. I had all this gear that I had bought, and I'm sitting there with my backpack with no idea what to do. So I just shove everything in there and get out on the trail. And what ended up happening was that I couldn't find things when I needed them. When it started to rain, I had to dig everywhere to find my raincoat. When it was time to eat lunch, I basically had to unpack my entire pack to get my food out. And not only that, the weight was distributed so poorly that it felt like my backpack was pulling on me the entire time. The reason this makes me better now is because now I know when I pack my bag how to do it efficiently. The things that I'm gonna need last when I get to camp are on the bottom of my pack. The things I'm gonna need throughout the day are at the top of my pack. My raincoat is always gonna be at an easily accessible place. And typically snacks and things are gonna be either in a fanny pack or an outside pocket so that I have easy access to those as well. By screwing up how I packed my pack, I learned how to be way more efficient at doing it now. That can make a backpack trip 1,000 times better. Another mistake that I made early on in my backpacking career was overestimating what miles I can do dependent on the terrain that I was hiking. Case in point, back in 2008, I was hiking on the Sheltowee Trace with my buddy Brian, the Flash Carpenter, and we were doing a section from Cumberland Falls up to a shelter that we were going to be staying in. It was only about 4.5 miles to get to the shelter, so we were anticipating about a 2-hour hike. Little did we know that hike was classified as a black diamond hike, meaning it was very difficult in that area. There was a lot of bouldering, there was a lot of getting over water, and it ended up costing us 5 hours to hike that hike. Needless to say, we weren't anticipating that. We got into camp later than we wanted. It was a little dark, and it kind of ruined what we were planning on doing for that night. So not understanding the terrain I was getting ready to hike really messed me up. And so now I've learned when I'm getting ready to hike somewhere, I'm always doing my research about the elevation profile, the difficulty of the hike, reading other hikers' reviewers on apps like All Trails, just to see what other people think of these hikes, to see how difficult it's going to be. To underestimate a hike can make your hike very difficult. So I'm really glad I screwed that up, because now I look at my hikes completely different than I did before. If you're enjoying today's video and you want to see more like it, why don't you go on over and subscribe to this channel, hit the notification bell so you find out anytime one of these videos are dropped. And while you're at it, leave a like and comment below. Let me know some failures that you've made, mistakes that you've made, that you're actually glad you made. I'd love to know. Let's get back to the video. The third mistake that I made on trail in the beginning was overdressing when I go out to hike in colder weather. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I overestimate things or underestimate things. And one of the things that I underestimated is body temperature when I start hiking. When it's cold out, I want to put on clothes, I want to bundle up, and I want to get out on trail. But the problem is, you bundle up and within less than a mile, your body heat has taken over, and now you are on fire, you're sweating, you're gross, and you've got to start shedding layers. Something I was told a long time ago that is now a saying for me is be bold, start cold. In other words, when you get on the trail, it's better to go ahead and take off those layers you know you're going to be removing to start hiking. You can prevent yourself from sweating when it's colder outside, because when you sweat when it's cold outside and you get to camp that night, you really risk a lot, like hypothermia. Not fun stuff. So for me, learning that on the trail and learning not to wear everything every time I start hiking in cold weather was huge. The next mistake I made was allowing YouTubers to decide what I was going to buy when I get out on trail. I'm not going to lie, when I first got into backpacking, I watched a lot of YouTube, and I bought a lot of gear based on YouTube. And I got a lot of gear that didn't work for me because of recommendations from YouTube. So basically what I'm trying to say is don't let a YouTuber decide your gear. Allow a YouTuber to maybe guide your research. Because the truth is, gear is very personal, down to your backpack, the trail runners or boots that you're wearing, even the socks that you're wearing, it's a very personal purchase that may not work for you if it works for somebody else. It could work for everybody else on the planet and still not work for you. So you need to do your own research. There's nothing wrong with allowing YouTubers to guide that research, to make you aware of gear that you didn't know was out there so that you can go do your research on it. Go to your local outfitters, try on backpacks, try on trail runners and boots, try on different puffy jackets. Find the gear that fits you best, but do your research. Don't just take my word for it or any other YouTuber. And the fifth mistake that I made when I first got into backpacking was thinking I was more of a prepper than a backpacker. In other words, I was bringing backups for my backups of my backups. I would bring an extra knife in case I broke my other knife, or I'd bring like 3 lighters because Lord knows 2 isn't enough. And I would bring 3 and 4 pairs of socks, all kinds of extra underwear. I would just bring all this extra stuff that I didn't always need when I was out on the trail. Basically, I was packing my fears. And this was good for me to do in the beginning because it taught me a lot. I was wasting a lot of valuable weight on things I really didn't need to bring out on the trail. And I'm sure for you, maybe that's something you struggle with as well. Maybe we're bringing too much food because we're just afraid we're not going to have enough. Or we're bringing extra fire starters because there's no way we're going to get a fire started. There's so many things people bring out on the trail they don't need to bring because we pack our fears. And so for me, that was one of the big mistakes I made in the beginning, but I'm glad I did because it's made me way more efficient in the items that I bring now when I go out on trail. So those were the 5 mistakes that I made when I first got into backpacking. Let me know what kind of mistakes you made in the comments, and until next time, stay strong, hike long, and I'll catch you on the next go around.